welcome back to our closing session today. I hope that everyone has had a fantastic International Women's Day and that you've had the opportunity to connect and network with other delegates. We will be delighted if you would share your thoughts with us and keep the conversation going on Twitter afterwards using #WomenInnovate. I'd now like to hand over to my Innovate UK colleague Hasna. Hasna leads on Innovate UK's targeted programmes to promote equality, diversity and inclusion in business innovation. These programmes include Women in Innovation, Young Innovators and Global Young Innovators. So Hasna, over to you to introduce the next session.
Thank you, Siobhan. So the next session is a fireside chat between myself and Lorena Robinson. Lorena leads the partnership team at Founders for Schools, which is a careers education charity which has connected business role models with more than 400,000 students over the past 6 years to inspire ambition and prepare young people for the working world. Thank you, Lorena, for joining us today.
Thank you for inviting us, and happy International Women's Day.
Yeah, happy International Women's Day. It's been a fantastic day. I've enjoyed many talks. I think you said the same as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So could you start by telling us more about Founders for Schools and what was the inspiration behind the organisation?
Yes, absolutely. So Founders for Schools is a multi-award winning careers educational charity. We were founded in 2015 by serial entrepreneur Sherry Kutu. She's definitely worth looking up. She's an amazing role model to all of us. And Sherry is a mum herself, and she recognised that her technology background could really help educators and teachers in bringing careers education to life. So she developed the Founders for Schools platform, which bridges the gap between leaving school and the world of work. And ultimately, we're connecting business role models with students to inspire them and raise careers aspirations. So actually, since 2015, we've delivered over 1.3 million encounters between business leaders and students. It's quite phenomenal.
That is pretty incredible, 1.3 million encounters. So you mentioned role models. How important do you think role models are to inspire the future generations? And do you have any examples of where there's been real impact there?
Really important, I think, is the basic answer. So we know research shows that when young people have 4 or more of these types of encounters with role models, they're 5 times less likely to become NEETs. That's not an employment, education and training. So it has a real impact. Furthermore, we know that when they have these encounters, they're 3 times more likely to enter a career in STEM, and particularly speaking to an audience of, I imagine, predominantly females today. And we know there's still a gender gap in STEM, and we do have some programs specifically around trying to bring female role models together with young girls between 11 and 14 to inspire them to study maths beyond GCSE, which then in turn closes the gender gap of roles in STEM. There's still a greater number of boys studying maths at A level. So we've got a whole community of volunteers who predominantly support Maths for Girls. That's our programme there. But on a more basic level, even role models are so important, because not every young person will have a role model at home to inspire them to reach their careers aspirations, or they may come from a home where their parents haven't been able to work for different reasons, or they might not have a big community around them at home to offer insight into all the different roles and sectors and industries that are open to them when they leave school. I mean, I remember being at school and kind of thinking about what I might want to do, and I wanted a big wall of all the jobs I could possibly consider, because I didn't know what was out there. And I had great role models in my life, and I still didn't know what was out there for me. And I think there's a saying that we use, you can't be what you can't see. So actually our role models that we're connecting with young people can just offer insight into what their career pathway was, and what it is. You don't always get it right the first time, and making sure that young people know that that's okay too. So just to have confidence to explore and see what's out there. Our educators, our teachers, they're fantastic role models in their own right, but quite often they don't know what the emerging workplace is looking like either. So they play a really big role in making sure that young people are getting every opportunity that they can to follow their aspirations and reach their potential.
Excellent. You've mentioned some fantastic things, including a Maths for Girls program about closing the gender gap in STEM as well. So I guess, especially for those who are out there listening to us now, I guess one of the big questions they'll be asking is what's actually involved in becoming a volunteer? How does one actually volunteer? How do you actually meet a young person or a student? Does the school contact you? Do you contact them? So it'd be great to actually, go into more details on what's actually involved in being a volunteer.
I'd love to, thank you. And first of all, I'm really pleased to say that Innovate UK and particularly Women in Innovation are a very proud sponsor and supporter of Founders for Schools. So you have a whole community of volunteers that are already working with our students, and it's so easy.
I'm encouraging the next and this cohort as well. We'll hopefully be working with young people as well.
Yeah, please. So, I mean, I guess the first thing to say is it's super easy, it's super flexible, and ultimately we're always looking for more volunteers. So it's all platform based. So I know that our website will be shared, and anyone who wants to is welcome to link in with me, and I can by all means show you a bit more about how it works. But really quick and easy, you go onto the platform, it can link with your LinkedIn profile if you're on LinkedIn. So within a few seconds, you can pull over all your details, and that essentially makes you a volunteer on our platform. You can offer as much detail as you want to in terms of what your interests are, what your expertise are, your background and data on yourself, which allows the educators to filter the volunteers who are best placed to achieve the biggest impacts when connecting you with their students. So depending on the age group of the student or the subject that they're asking you to come and connect with them and inspire them on. So it's really quite tailored. And you have the flexibility to accept an invitation from a teacher to volunteer with the school or the students at that time. If you're busy at that time, you can politely decline and accept another time. So it really gives you a lot of flex as a volunteer. The amazing thing for us as a positive of the pandemic is that pre-pandemic, our volunteers predominantly went into schools, which meant that they kind of worked on a fairly limited parameter of how far they were willing to travel or could travel. But actually we pivoted really quickly when we hit the pandemic and schools closed, because we knew that more than ever students needed that support now. So we actually created a virtual opportunity for so volunteers can still connect with students from the comfort of their own home, the comfort of their own office, and within an hour they could have an impact of reaching 100 students 100 miles away. So there's no geographical barriers anymore, and actually you can offer a lot more of your time and have more impact without even leaving home. So really simple and easy, and we invite anyone to consider joining via the Women in Innovation page, or feel free to contact us.
It's very simple to join. I've actually put my LinkedIn profile through there as well, so I definitely recommend it. But you mentioned that the pandemic didn't stop you interacting with young people, with students in schools. So actually it was more of an enabler. It allowed, I guess, more flexibility for those who are volunteering. Could you give us some examples of events or activities that your volunteers would be offered or expected to do as part of the programme?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, there's flex there for areas that you might want to support in, but we have a series of what we call encounters, and they're all very much evidence-based. The platform has been based on engagement with educators, teachers and students to make sure that we know what's going to have the most impact. So there are sessions that are as simple as CV writing, or an insight into your career or into your workplace. We also facilitate virtual work experience through another partner. So actually it's really important. Over the last 12 months, work experience has been really limited for young people. We know that's got a huge impact on their world into the workplace and their opportunities that opens up to them. So virtual work experience. There's also ways to you may want to use an example that's relative to your particular role. So I spoke to a volunteer recently who is a investor, and she creates monopoly money, or now virtually she asks the students to create monopoly money, and she'll ask them to go into teams and consider 3 different investment opportunities that were real investment opportunities that her business had to consider, and give a rationale as to which one they would invest their money in. And then once they come back together, they give their rationale and they explain, why they chose that one over the others. And then she reviews that and tells them which one they actually chose to invest in and why. And even though the students are obviously getting a lot of value from it, equally, she said, don't underestimate how much value you get from it as a volunteer as well, because the insight you get from different age groups, different backgrounds, different thoughts, different creativities, actually it really helps them steer their business decisions as well. So that's just one example of many of how you can volunteer.
I guess it's that interaction and having that, them giving you the information of, you know, maybe something you're not usually exposed to from
Exactly.
group that age. So as well as work experience and these different activities, we understand that you also recently launched a mentoring service for female business owners. So
Yes.
can you tell us more about this as well?
Yes, so I referred to Sherry Kutu, our founder, at the beginning, and Sherry's got a wonderful history of various businesses that she's started and invested in. And when the pandemic hit, Sherry was approached by a partner organisation who were very familiar with the Founders for Schools platform, its simplicity, yet how much it's able to deliver. And they suggested that perhaps we could consider using that same concept to be able to support small business owners, small business leaders and charities to be able to not only survive but thrive through the pandemic. There are a lot of businesses, small businesses, which had to really quite rapidly consider bringing their offering and their business to a remote workplace, so a marketplace online that they weren't familiar with before. They didn't necessarily have the skill sets to do that. So very quickly, Sherry, the partner organisation, and our wider team brought together Digital Boost. So that's a platform which brings business owners, small business owners, together with digital experts from the likes of Apple, BT, Google, Bloomberg, so really well qualified volunteers to be able to support these businesses through a series of either one-to-one mentoring sessions or workshops. And we also have a huge directory of resources that are available to download and access at any time. And this is all free to small business owners. The reality is that, and there was a report that was issued at the end of last year by the British Business Bank, that female-owned businesses are still experiencing much less revenue than male-owned entrepreneurs and male-owned businesses. So as much as we're committed as part of our SUSTAIN mission to ensure that the service is open to any business owners, we do have a particular mission to make sure that we are supporting at least 50% of female-owned businesses. So we absolutely urge anyone that's listening today to go on to Digital Boost. Really, it takes 2 minutes to connect your LinkedIn profile, bring that over, and you have access to a whole host of really top-level expertise to help your business survive and thrive.
Brilliant. We will share that link afterwards just to really get it out there and to get everyone signing up. Because as you said, we want to make the impact and we want to get 50% of those who sign up to be female entrepreneurs, female-led businesses. So that's excellent. We still have plenty of time. So actually, one of the things I want to touch on is that when we're talking about volunteers, you mentioned closing the gender STEM gap. I would guess, maybe from the answer, maybe I was thinking, are you looking for volunteers from all sectors right now? Is there any gaps that you are that are out there that you maybe want to plug, or just open to volunteers from every sector?
Good question. Thank you, Hasna. Absolutely all sectors, all ages or backgrounds or geographical locations, because actually we need to reach a lot more young people than ever over the next 12 months especially. We've got a mission actually to reach 2.5 million young people by the end of 2023. Young people have been amongst those most impacted by the pandemic. As you know, unemployment rates are particularly low and worrying for young people who are leaving school or leaving further education. So actually having that engagement, we work with young people from 6 up to 24. So when we talk about young people, actually it could be someone that's been out of school for quite some time, but they're still within our support network. So absolutely open to anybody to come and volunteer with us. And actually sometimes it's, we talk about STEM roles, but STEM roles are quite applicable to almost any business now. And we're actually working on a project at the moment around educating in sustainability careers. So making young people understand that actually you can really play a part in our net zero targets by considering a role in any business contributing to how they are sustainable and how they can contribute to net zero. So there's really a kind of an open platform of all volunteers. You will have value, whether it's just telling your own story and making a young person realise that actually I didn't want to go to university either, and I can see that you've become really successful in your own right by starting as an apprentice or leaving school, starting work, going back to further education. So every story is inspiring to at least one young person, so everyone's welcome.
Brilliant. So yes, that's open to everyone. So if you are interested, we will send the links out. So please do sign up. I guess one final thing. So is there anything else you'd like to add? And I know we've mentioned the Digital Boost tool and the ability to mentor and to upskill. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we close and hand over to Roberta?
Well, thank you again for inviting us here today. I guess the theme of International Women's Day, the Choose to Challenge, theme this year. I've been speaking to some of our supporters today, actually, for some sessions to educators. And one of the things that really struck me, they were saying, I want to choose to challenge that we don't need one day to celebrate being innovative or one day of being fantastic entrepreneurs as women. We can play that part every day and inspire every day. And we don't even have to inspire other girls. We can inspire boys too. I've got 2 young boys, and I'm a really a real advocate for showing them that I work hard because we want nice things. And I think role modeling to me is the key thing. If I can do anything right as a mum and as an inspiration to other young people, it's just making sure that I fly the flag and just try and kind of get the message out there that you can be what you want and you can choose to challenge to make yourself happy, whatever pathway that is. So that's my parting words.
Thank you, Lorena. Thank you for joining us today and for showing us what opportunities are available out there for Founders for Schools. And I hope our audience will be out there and will volunteer as well. As I said, we'll send the links around. So thank you for joining us, and I will hand back to Siobhan.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
So much, Lorena and Hasna, for sharing the opportunities to become a role model, as well as the information about Digital Boost. And you will all receive information about both of them in the follow-up from the event. It's also on Women in Innovation's program page about the opportunity to volunteer and be a founder in schools. And we'll make sure that Digital Boost is circulated as well. So now it's my absolute pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker for International Women's Day. Roberta Lucca, aka Beta Lucca, is well-respected, unconventional serial entrepreneur, NED marketing strategist, international keynote speaker, and host of Hyper Curious podcast. The MBA British-Brazilian founded and grew multiple businesses, including the BAFTA-winning Bossa Studios, and you'll notice the BAFTA in her background, a VC-backed multi-million-dollar video games company widely regarded for its creativity at scale approach and reach of millions of millennials and Gen Z consumers worldwide. She is Forbes' top 50 women in tech and has been featured in world-renowned media outlets such as Sky News, BBC News, Times Radio, Financial Times, Disney Channel, Marie Claire, Wired, Management Today, and CNBC. Roberta is an expert in and frequently speaks about high-growth entrepreneurship, creativity, diversity, and futurism. And she brings first-hand 20 years of experience in launching dozens of innovative products, companies, games, and helping leaders take disruptive actions to grow their businesses while improving their leadership. So thank you so much for joining us today, Roberta, and it's over to you.
Thank you very, very much. What an introduction. I'm very shy now. I don't know how to start. Oh, thank you. I don't know about you, but I found this fireside chat Absolutely amazing. And I 100% agree with the sentiment that we should be celebrating our day every day. Every day we should be taking actions to have, more women leaders, innovators, founders, investors in the world. So I'm thrilled to be here, to be closing this special day with you. And after keeping your eyes and ears glued to the screen the whole day, I will like to ask you to activate a different part of your brain right now. So I'm going to do an experiment together with you. I'm going to ask you to close your eyes, breathe in, breathe out, and now think of your favorite scent. It can be your favorite perfume, which you may not be wearing as much during the lockdown. It can be the scent of your shampoo, or that delicious smell of a new dress that you felt on the top of the world the first time you wore it. Try to feel the beautiful smell of it. Now you can open your eyes. And my latest favorite scent is this one. It's called Breath of Life. And every day in the morning, after I take a shower, I go to my living room, I look at the skies of London through my window, and believe it or not, when it's not gray, it's the most stunning view you can ask for. I'm Brazilian, and I still feel that it's really beautiful sky. So I use the drop of this essential oil, I rub it in my hands, and I inhale it, and I simply enjoy the present moment. And that's how I start my day. And with a trigger that activates my inner drive to be bold, to be daring, to take big actions. Actions that make me feel uncomfortable, those that feel very risky, those that I don't feel quite ready for. Now, you might be asking yourself, what does it have to do with our day-to-day celebrating women in innovation and entrepreneurship? I make video games and don't make scents for a living, right? First of all, I love scents because once they get in touch with your skin, they become completely unique. No one smells exactly the same. And it's the most original thing you have. Our sense of smell is directly associated with our memory and our emotional centers in the brain. And so I created an association between this smell and a daring, confident, unstoppable Roberta, which I remind myself every day first thing. So all of us here are unique and original in our own way, right? So let's challenge our need to conform. Challenge everyone who tries to box you as a female founder or female innovator or a female investor. We don't need the qualifier. We are founders, we are innovators, we're investors in the future of the world with all the businesses and products we've been making. Why do we want to conform or behave as expected, as a good girl? Let's embrace our uniqueness, our quirks, our originality, but also let's use them to our advantage when it comes to taking big actions to change. We know the numbers are terrible, and I bet that you heard a lot of different numbers today from social media, from news, from here, the whole event. And I'm going to share a couple of more for you just as a reminder. 49% of private companies that have raised at least $100 million in funding don't have any women on their boards. We lost almost twice as many jobs as men during the pandemic. And last year, only 9% of the dollars invested in startups and scale-ups went to teams with women in the founding team. 91% went to all male founders. But will you spend your life talking about it, or will you take big actions and then celebrate our achievements? I want us to focus on the future, on taking big actions to change, on leveling up our ambitions to succeed big. I want us to create and launch products and services that will make huge impact in the world. I know it's tough, you know it's tough, it's a long road, it will be full of failures along the way, full of obstacles, but we can do it. And if I can do it, you can do too. Let me tell you my story. I was born in Brazil, not Italy, because a lot of people think that I'm from Italy, but my grandfather was from Italy, but I was born in Brazil, in an environment with no privilege. And growing up in a developing country when you're not mega rich is hard. You have to swim against the current all the time. And the government provides close to zero support to your education, your health, job security. And my mom grew up in a working class family, but gladly she was a rebel and decided to take a leap outside of her possibilities. Right after she finished school with no university degree, she took a job in a financial institution as a PA. And fast forward 30 years from then, she retired as a director. During that, she got married, she had me and my sister, she got divorced. And as I was growing up, every day I saw my mom getting ready to go to work to kill another lion. Powerful woman. Picture the 80s as well, right? Shoulder pads, listening to Rick Astley to start the morning. And that was very inspiring for me. She did that to have a decent salary to provide us the best education that she could never had. And guess what? Yes, she is my biggest role model still nowadays. And still, I follow the script of life, as I say, that she laid out for me. I went to uni to study computer science because I loved games. And by the way, another win of having encouragement from a strong mom and a strong role model to pursue something that was seen as a boy's choices. And I graduated and I got a job. I started a normal career path in a TV broadcaster in Brazil. I had no goals to become an entrepreneur then. But then I think I was quite entrepreneurial and a little bit of a challenger like most of you are. So I decided to leave my comfortable job, to jump into the unknown and move to the UK. My partner and I had a bet. The first one who gets the job, the other would quit theirs and follow. He got it first. And here I was in the UK starting a new life from zero. Very fast, I discovered that my English levels were so bad, I could barely ask for a glass of wine at our local pub without tripping on my words. And I must say, naivety is a blessing. I am glad I wasn't aware of my language limitations when I accepted the bet with my partner. But there I was. It was the first big failure of my life. I was jobless in a complete new country without any support network or family around. But that gave me an enormous drive to be risky, to be daring, to define my destiny. And I had to pause my then 6 years of professional career to become a full-time student and learn English properly. I became the best student of my English course. And I think it was just by sheer amount of determination and a fear of not succeeding, right? And in 6 months, I got a job as a business development manager in a mobile company. Now, fast forward to today, 15 years after that moment. My life has been a roller coaster of big thrills and massive failures in business. And I know that, I have this BAFTA award here and a lot of awards and things that I achieved, but it is very hard. There are obstacles. But I'm so happy and I'm so grateful that along the way, I learned how to do fundraising, how to become a better leader, how to market my products, how to market myself, how to be confident when the imposter syndrome attacks, how to get out of burnout, how to get out of depression, how to hire a great team, how to fire people, how to motivate people, how to keep myself motivated, and so much more. And I know it's a lot, and I don't even have kids. As I said, I won these multiple awards, including a BAFTA, and I grew a VC-backed multi-million-dollar business in an industry that is heavily dominated by men, video games. Now, I don't know how much you know about the video games industry and the size of it, but it is the future of entertainment. And in terms of value, it's bigger than films and music combined, and it still suffers from a lack of diversity and inclusion. But I'm there, and I choose to challenge our need to conform. Every day, when I inhale my breath of life scent, I choose to be unique and not care about being the minority in my own boardroom. I believe that the best impact you can have in our future generations of successful women leaders, innovators, and founders is by taking big action and being a little bit of a mole in the system. And here's how it works. Your mission today, if you're a female founder, is to create wealth with a purpose, of course, and impact with your business. You don't need to have a high growth tech business, be like an Amazon, Airbnb of this world, unless you are up for that ride, right? But you have to be daring to become the next big company or the next best company in your own vertical. And then you can allocate some of your personal wealth to become an angel investor. So you can put it back into the system and help other ambitious female founders to have capital to start their journeys. Now, after that, I'm going to tell you, no, imposter syndrome will survive your years of experience from both sides of the table as a founder and as an investor. And it's now time to put yourself into a board position and a decision maker in a large company and have a much bigger impact. I know it's not simple, it's hard work. It took me 20 years since my graduation and 10 years as an entrepreneur to feel that I'm ready for this position. But if I could do it with a tougher upbringing, a move to a complete new culture, moments when no one believed in me and not even myself, every one of you can. You just need to perhaps choose your own scent or choose any trigger that will inspire you every morning to take bigger actions. All despite the odds against you. The woman I most admire nowadays is called Alex Mahon. She's the CEO of Channel 4. And I encourage you to read about her journey, starting as a physicist and now in charge of one of the most influential media companies in the UK. She's impressive, and she's making so much change from within. She's the proof that focusing on the macro stats does not help you make the changes that you want to see. But big actions do. Let's take fundraising, for example. You get to pitch your startup to a well-known investment fund or VC, right? And then you enter the room or start the Zoom call and you see what's typical, a room of male investors. And if your mind is filled with all the reasons why women don't get as much funding, you already pigeonhole yourself as the female founder in the room. How can that thinking help you to deliver the best pitch? Then if they say no after the meeting, you think it's because you're a woman and they don't get us. Look, I'm not saying ignore the stats or the unconscious bias. There's a lot of unconscious bias going on. What I'm saying is know it all and take bigger actions anyway. Don't let the terrible stats affect your performance and your growth. And remember, fundraising is all about the narrative. As an angel investor nowadays, I have to say that I have been learning quite a lot about the things that I did right and I did wrong when I was, fundraising for my companies. And I spend hours of my weeks talking to founders who are pitching me their businesses. The interesting thing is, most men are so bold and focus on their big vision, while a lot of women focus on what they have achieved so far, what they will do in the next 2 years. And a woman would show to me with this phone, let's say, and say, hey, we've made this, and with your investment, we'll sell 10 times more. And a man would show me this phone and say, you see this product? We made this. It's amazing. And this is only step 1 out of 100 of how my business will transform the way humans will communicate in the future. Do you see the difference? It's astonishing. And I learned so much about myself when I started to see those patterns. So there are 3 things you need to think about to nail your narrative: your vision, your ambition, and your conviction. What is your big vision? What will the world look like in 10 years' time when you succeed? What are the problems your business will solve that will impact millions of people? And then your ambition. What drives you so badly to overcome all the obstacles in the journey? What is your inner fire? What do you care most about? And what is your conviction? What do you believe is true in the world that gives you an unfair advantage? A unique insight you might have, a unique experience, or key people you brought into the journey to make it happen. You have to make investors fear they will miss out if they don't join you right now. What I love most about those is not only that you learn about how to be, better fundraiser, it helps, of course, but also I feel that it makes your mind free to imagine the future you want to see, as opposed to looking at facts and figures. Let's face the challenges. There are many, right? But let's be daring to have a big vision, ambition, and conviction, and be daring to communicate that to the world without the fear of being judged. Even if you have to use your favorite scent to trigger that, like I do. Let's be part of the creation of an ecosystem where we go from female founders to female investors to female powerhouse decision makers. And then we'll be able to remove the female qualifier from all those pivotal roles in our society. I choose to challenge our need to conform, our need to fit in. I choose to take big, uncomfortable actions. What about you?
Thank you so much, Roberta. That was absolutely fantastic, and it's given us all a lot of things to think about. I know we've got a couple of questions, so I'll be very quick. If anybody does have any questions, please pop them in the question box as soon as possible. We've only got a small amount of time to pose these to Roberta. So I think the question that everybody wants to know is, what did it feel like when you actually were awarded the BAFTA?
What was it like, the feeling when that happened?
Yes.
Oh my God, I was not expecting at all. So we had a whole team. At the time, we were probably like 15 people. So we put everyone there in like a big table at the BAFTA award. And we were our competitors were like games from Disney and games from Electronic Arts, like super big companies. And then when they announced, and the winner is Monster Mind, which was our first game, I was like completely, I think I had a blur in the moment. And I went on stage with my co-founders, and I remember that there is footage on YouTube about that. And I think I looked like a crazy woman. It was like one of the most, thrilling moments of my life. I really did not expect that. But I mean, that's, this is just, a tiny little thing of the journey. There's so much more there. You learn so much more from your failures than your successes there. I think it's great to have it, but it's great to build great things as well.
And turning to failures now, we did have another question that asked, what is the biggest challenge that you've ever faced, and what did you learn from that?
Yeah, I think in business, the biggest challenge that I faced was on my second company. I started with a big vision of, I thought that 3D printing would change the world. And halfway through, we didn't make the business work because, so many challenges that we had in terms of printing the products, getting the marketplace right, and not having the uptake of customers that I imagined. And when you're doing something that is coming from your passion, that is coming from something that, my goal was to change the future of the way that we distribute products, fashion products and jewelry, because there's so much losses and there's so much waste in the process. And when I saw that people didn't care as much as me and I didn't sell as much, I was quite disheartened. So that was a big failure. I had to close the company after 3 years because we didn't succeed. But hey, again, I learned the hard way. And I have at least myself and my co-founder had a list of 10 big lessons that we learned that we're not going to make it again.
And then what is your top tip for female founders who are just starting out?
Top tip, that's great. So that's a great question because there are so many levels to that, right? I think the first thing is sometimes, or most of the times, our minds are on the way for us to get things. And I know it feels very cheesy and a lot of people say that. But the reason why I say it is because we usually feel we wait to be ready to start. And we always think that on the other side, and other people know so much more than us and we won't be able to succeed, right? So when you start, make sure that you are, looking at your vision, your ambition, your conviction, but also you are solving a problem in the world that you're extremely passionate about. Because two things. One, the journey is big, right? I have been building my video games company for the last 10 years, and we're still halfway through the journey. There's still a lot to be done there. But also, I think it's there's something about when you put your passion there, and when you don't care as much about your competitors, you actually stay very focused on iterating every day, right? And I think people say, right, that the comparison is the killer of joy. So I think those two things, like believe that you can, which I know it feels cheesy and easy to say and hard to be done. That's why I have my little sense to remember me that I have to be daring and take big actions every day. But also not to be so soaked up by, what everybody else knows and what everybody else is doing.
And I think you somewhat covered this, but we did get also asked, what would you say if somebody told you that you were not ready?
Oh, nowadays, I would say, stop the BS. Nowadays, I would really push back. I would say, well, what is ready? Who is ready? We're all in a journey, right? We're human beings. And I'm going to be 1% better tomorrow than I was today, than I was yesterday. And that's the journey. So I would push back. Maybe younger me would feel very like, oh my God, am I not ready? I would question myself.
Okay, and then we're going to have to call it close to there, but is there any last comment or piece of advice that you want to give our audience?
That's a good one. I think the best advice that I can possibly give you today is do the uncomfortable. Do the uncomfortable, because that's when you learn most, that's when you progress most, and that's when you create the biggest impact without even realizing that. Do the uncomfortable, do the things that you're not prepared for, do the things, push a little bit, send an email that will make you feel like, oh my God, have I done the wrong thing? Do that, because once you start doing those things, you will build the muscle, and you will learn that you can be confident and you can do more of those things. It is just like a muscle. The more you take action, the more confident you are to take more actions and bigger actions in the future.
Thank you so much, Roberta. It was a fabulous session, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure.
pleasure.
I'm going to hand over to Emily to close out the session today, but thank you again, Roberta.
Thanks, Siobhan, and yeah, thank you from me, Roberta. That was fantastic, a fantastic way to end the event. So yeah, I really just want to wrap up today, and I hope that everybody that's taken part today has enjoyed it as much as I have. It really has been what I hoped it would be in terms of an uplifting and very positive event. And I guess the only thing I regret is that I wasn't able to be in more than one place at one time, and I couldn't take part in all of the different sessions. I realise I haven't actually personally congratulated our award winners, so I'd like to do that and take the opportunity to do that now. Congratulations to all of you, and it was fantastic seeing some of you at the event here today, and looking forward to working with you in the year ahead. Just to let you know, we've had around 600 people that have engaged with the event today, so that's really fantastic, really great turnout. I know there's been lots going on, lots of competition, lots of other events, so great that so many people were able to join us today. And I just wanted to highlight a few things personally that I'm going to take away from today that I think are important points to make. So in the morning, we had a main stage session on inclusive innovation, and there was a discussion about the importance of intersectionality, so looking beyond gender and the need to create opportunities for all women. That's certainly a theme that we're going to be taking forward with the programme, and is really, really important. We had a great session on the Industrial Strategy Challenge Fund programme. So for people that didn't take part in that one, I would go and find out more about the Industrial Strategy Challenge Fund. There's lots of opportunities there for women innovators, so get involved. I attended one of the sessions where we had the 3-minute presentations from some of our award winners, and I mean, it was just fantastic. We were blown away with the presentations, and I have to say a huge thank you to Jenny Tooth and her investor friends for getting stuck in and sharing what was just amazingly valuable nuggets of wisdom to our award winners and to everybody else that was taking part. Thank you for that. And I also just want to give a shout out to our male allies here today. So Paul Mason, obviously director from Innovate UK, that attended the session in the morning and the opening, and also Ben Walsh, who said some really heartfelt things, really important things about being a man, promoting this whole kind of women in innovation agenda. And there were some messages about all of us being majority allies for others, so that we can work together to build this inclusive culture, which I thought was really great messages. So just a few reminders. I've got quite a lot I need to say. We are going to be launching a new competition for women in innovation in summer, so watch out for that. And obviously we'll be letting you know the details as soon as we can on that. You heard about Digital Boost. Lorena told us about that. So it's a new free tool available to you to get help with mentoring. So do take a look and sign up to that to help your businesses. There's a free Kindle edition of A Woman's Work, the book every successful businesswoman wishes she's read. So you can grab hold of that as well. And also you can get a copy of Be the Leader You Want to See, Reveal Your Talents, Create Fulfillment and Confidently Step into the Career You Were Made For by Susie Ramroop. And that's just 99p today if you'd like a copy of that book via the Events Hub. So, deep breath, and now thank you. So obviously thank you to all of our speakers and session chairs today. Shout out for our event partners, so UKRI, Innovate UK Edge, UK Business Angels Association, Inventure, the Hero Works Institute, Extend Ventures, the Institution of Engineering and Technology, LMF Network, European Women Association, Commonwealth Business Women Network, Global Women Inventors and Innovators Network, Merriam Ventures, Foundivine, and Gen UK. I mean, goodness, what a lot of partners. And obviously, you know, we are working with other organisations. It's just so great to be working together with all of you on this. Thank you to the coaches that were involved today. And, you know, a huge thank you to the fantastic KTN who have pulled this event together. So Shawan, who's obviously been on the screen all the way through today, and then Poonam, who's kind of like behind the scenes making this all work together, and Raluca with all her work on the fantastic content around the programme. Thank you to my team at Innovate UK, Hasna, who's again been really engaged in the event today, and Katie, and our communications team, Helen Mead, Richard Roberts, and Kat Lowenberg-Bickel. There's a long list of other people from KTN who have done a lot for today. So Emma, Sheena, Sandy, Julia, Rajesh, Jonathan, Olivia, and Daisy, thank you to you. And lastly, obviously, thank you to everybody who's taken part today as attendees, joined in on our sessions. Happy International Women's Day. How many times are we going to say that? But yes, happy International Women's Day. And let's keep pushing forward with the radical changes that we know need to happen, that we've been talking about all day. Continue promoting diversity and inclusion, and continue, not just today, but every day, celebrating the contributions of women in innovation. So thank you everybody. And yeah, goodbye. See you again next year.